Hello, I'm Rodney Whitaker, Mac Avenue recording artist, and you're listening to Detroit JazzStage.
Good evening and welcome to Detroit Jazz Stage. I'm Jim Gallert.
And I'm Rodney Reeves.
Tonight we welcome to Detroit Jazz Stage reedman Wendell Harrison, a stalwart of Detroit's jazz scene for over 50 years.
That's this month on Detroit Jazz Stage.
If one had to select a word to describe Harrison, eclectic would not be a bad choice. He plays tenor sax and clarinet, has worked with pianist visionary son Ra, leads an 18-piece big band, a clarinet ensemble, and recently released a CD of duets with percussionist Juma Santos. Together with his wife, pianist Pamela Wise, executive director of Rebirth Incorporated, Harrison teaches in schools in and around Detroit, has published a Be Boppers Method Book, and runs Wenha Records. Wendell, welcome to Detroit Jazz Stage.
Well, thank you, Jim. Glad to be here. Glad to be here. And seems like a lot of energy is happening still in Detroit, you know, with the different kids coming up in the schools and whatnot.
You know, speaking of the schools and education and that, you were fortunate enough to study with one of jazz's great teachers who lived and worked in Detroit for many years, pianist Barry Harris.
Oh, yeah. I started with Barry in probably 57, 58 when I was in high school. And the guy that they introduced me to Barry was Lonnie Hilliard. Another guy was Charlie McPherson. We was in high school together. And first of all, they was showing me different ideas and whatnot. They said, if you get these ideas, kid, and you memorize them, then we'll introduce you to Barry, you know. And so I did that, you know, worked on them for about 6 months, and got them through the different keys and whatnot on the alto saxophone at the time. I think it was alto. And then they took me to Barry's house on Stanford and near Tyerman, and that was like meeting God itself, you know, at that particular time. And I really started to. He just showed me only had about 5 lessons with Barry. He give me one lesson, it would last me about 4 months.
Right.
you know, and then I started playing tenor saxophone.
That was clarinet that you were playing at the time?
No, I was playing clarinet through elementary, middle school, and high school. When I saw these guys playing bebop, I was in the 9th grade, or either the 10th grade, going to Northwestern. And I was signed to the band room for the first day. You know, you had people like James Jamerson playing upright bass, and Roy Brooks and Charles McPherson and Lonnie Hilliard. That was the group, and they were about 16, 17 years old. I was about 13, 14 at the time, you know, and I heard these guys play bebop tunes like Cherokee and Donna Lee, those old Charlie Parker tunes. I said, wow, this is really jazz.
Where did you hear music? I mean, when you started getting involved with Lonnie and Charles and Roy Brooks?
Well, my mother put me on the piano, introduced me to the piano at 5 years, when I was 5 years old. And then it was a shocking experience. They gave me a clarinet when I was 8 years old. I said, that was horrible. the clarinet. I got to play this thing. You know what I mean? The reason they put me on the clarinet because my teacher, my piano teacher, which was Mr. Hewitt, he said, well, your son is fixing to go to elementary school. It'd be good for him to play clarinet. He put the bug in my mother's ear. And all of a sudden, one day, my grandfather gave me a clarinet. I said, oh, God, no more music. So I started playing this clarinet, and it was a metal clarinet, one of the old metal clarinets. And I hated that with a passion, but they made me practice every day. And all of a sudden, I would get a lot of little, I would get attention in school by playing different assemblies, right. You know. And then they started, when I got to junior high school, they would get me out of English classes or history classes to do different little presentations. I said, this is pretty good. I said, if I keep on practicing, maybe I can get out of more classes. You know what I mean? So that was my inspiration there, you know.
So when did you connect the clarinet to jazz music? Because I'm sure it wasn't
never,
at that time.
Never. It was always, it was all about reading.
Oh, okay.
It was all about reading music, and I never did collect. They said one of my schoolmates was listening to Swain. His name was Levi Gardner. I went to his house, and he was playing some Benny Goodman and Louis Armstrong. And there's something about that music I said, this is jazz, this is great. But I didn't like it at the time. I couldn't feel it. It's good music, you know. Lionel Hampton, Benny Goodman, Louis Armstrong, and sometimes I would hear maybe Art or Teddy Wilson or somebody like that, you know. Gene Cooper, you know. I said, this is jazz. It's all right. So as time went on, I graduated, went to Northwestern. And I heard these bebop players, like I mentioned, like Charles McPherson and Rodney. I said, oh, wow. I heard that live.
Right.
You know. There was another guy that was instrumental in terms of my awareness, was one of the McKinneys, Earl McKinney.
Oh, Shams.
Yeah, he Shams. Actually, I missed this. In junior high school, he was there too, playing clarinet in one of the bands. He played, and he took me when I was 13 years old. He took me out to a place called, the name of this guy, it was Joe Bazille's out on...
of course, on Fleming.
On Fleming. And that's when I heard Cokie Winfrey, great John Coltrane, Joe Harris. These guys would play all night long. He'd play for a while, and then he'd get on the couch and sleep, then go back and play. There was like a perpetual or a marathon session, for a weekend,
And this was a private house too. I mean, Joe Bazille, played alto and he was a machinist, I believe, by trade.
Right.
And all these great musicians, like as you mentioned, Coltrane, etc. When they would come to town, Yusuf Lateef, they would come down there, and there would be these, what must have been just amazing jam sessions that would go on for days at a time. I mean,
like family.
And you were a part of that at that time?
I was looking at it.
Right, you were on the steps with Phil
Leslie.
Phil Leslie.
Yeah, right, Phil. Yeah, Phil. Yeah, he was one of the guys, and guess what? That's how I was introduced to Harold McKinney.
Oh, through Joe Brazil's.
Yeah, because informally, he had a beard. He was going to Morehouse.
Oh yeah.
He was about maybe 26. Now here I'm 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's 26, and we didn't have too much to talk about. I'm so young, you know what I mean.
Wow.
We didn't have nothing to talk about at that time, and.
Did you know the other? Did you know Kiani?
No.
Yeah,
at that time. Not at that time.
He was a little bit older, I think.
All these guys are older.
Yeah.
These guys is like 10 years, 13, 15 years older than myself. Now, by and by,
After time, you got to associate with him.
Not only that, we became good partners. Like Kiani in New York, I learned a lot of stuff from Kiani when I went to New York.
That's Kiani Zawadi. Or Bernard McKinney.
Bernard McKinney.
Yeah.
I learned about that. But anyway, so I started this clarinet, and when I heard these guys in Northwestern playing this bebop music, I say, Mama, you got to get me an alto saxophone. I can't continue music. If you want to play music, I have to have an alto, So by and by, she got an alto saxophone, and I started playing, and then she accused me of practicing too much. You playing too much, you practice, you'll never amount to anything. Every time I see you got a horn in your mouth, take it out, do something else.
But your parents encouraged you to play music, though. It sounds like. I mean, they.
Well, at the beginning stages.
Yeah, until they thought he'd become a professional.
That's what I'm talking about. That scared the hell out of them. In other words, I mean, it was all right when it was like a hobby, and I was just dealing with keeping me off the street, to giving me discipline, and they could say, "Oh, he's cute. He's playing. My son is playing the piano." But when I was hanging, all my friends changed immediately.
Sure they did.
When I was older, and all these friends, I was, and the more I practiced, the older my friends were, because I was able to play with older people, and that scared them. You say, "Oh, where's all these guys coming from? They look like bums, musical bums, They sound good." So then she started inviting them to the house in terms of, we had a piano.
Mm-hmm.
We put a piano in the basement. She had a piano in the basement. Say, well, if he's going to play this music, I don't want him out in the street so much playing at his age. They can come over here and practice. And I was learning to play, and then all of a sudden, they wanted me to, you spend too much time with this music. You got to get a job. So I got a job at a grocery store, stock boy. And then that wasn't enough. I had to get a paper out, But all of a sudden, the guys have started calling me for different jobs, like playing for birthday parties, weddings, in the church.
Oh.
And sometimes I would make on one gig, I would make more than I would make a week at the grocery store. I say, look, I got to do this thing. I got to do this music thing because I can really make, and I loved it. I could really make a lot more money playing music than the stock bar in the grocery store. So I don't believe it. So anyway, more and more they started calling me, like people who was using me, like Claude Black, Willie Metcalf,
Wow.
Boo Boo Turner.
Oh, wow.
These guys, And I had a chance to go to Syracuse, New York with Teddy Harris and Benny Maupin and those guys. It was a dance troupe called the Powder Puff Review. Braggs' Powder Puff Review.
And you would play, the band would play, you would back these dancers up. So
we was playing big band.
Oh, big band, yeah.
Yeah, we was playing big band.
So were you playing swing then, Wendell?
Yeah, pretty much, I guess so.
So on the alto or clarinet?
That was, I had got the tenor.
Oh, you got the tenor by now.
Yeah,
tenor.
Yeah.
Did you get
in
solos?
the band? No. Sam Saunders, Benny Maupin, Patrick Lanier, playing trombone. Herbie Williams, Teddy Harris was playing. I was a kid. What do I know? I don't know where it's.
That sounds like a good band.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, I was a brat. I was the kid, the new kid on the block. Then I went on the road with Claude Black and Freddie Fruit. That was Willie. You know Freddie Fruit?
Freddie Metcalf, sure. Freddie Fruit Metcalf, yeah.
These guys.
Bassist, drummer, or what?
He's a drummer.
Fruit played drums. We should mention that the Claude Black is another unsung giant of Detroit jazz piano. He's an absolutely brilliant pianist, and he now makes his home in Toledo and earns his living there. But he's a brilliant pianist.
Yeah.
He's brilliant.
Well, he started out playing trombone.
That's right. That's right. His first record, he's on trombone with Donald Byrd.
Yeah. So we actually went to Cleveland one time. It was the first night of the gig, and we was getting ready to go on the bandstand. We finally got on the bandstand. We started out playing this tune. We were supposed to play this tune, Origin.
Oh yeah. Sure.
By Sonny Rollins. So we started, Claude counted the tune off, and we started playing, but we didn't hear any drums. Man, that's strange. We looked back there, and Fruit was being handcuffed.
Oh, no.
The FBI got him because he wasn't supposed to leave. He was like on parole. He wasn't supposed to leave the state, you know. As soon as he played that first downbeat, tried to play that first downbeat, they cuffed him. They cuffed him and took him away, you know. And that's where Shams, they sent for him from Detroit to come down there and play drums.
So presumably he'd switched from clarinet at some point then.
Oh yeah, well he had been playing drums. I jumped a lot of years, a few years. He started playing drums in Northwestern and clarinet.
Is he a good drummer?
Oh, he's a great drummer.
Shams?
Yeah, and he played Monk on the piano. You know, he could write. You know, and he was playing a lot of different jobs with his brother Ray, and we didn't see too much of Harold because he was at way of school. He was way of school, and Harold was pretty much more classical anyway. He wasn't a bebop kind of guy. Harold didn't really dig into the bebop until he was about 40.
You know, I remember one time you told me that when we were discussing Harold that you told me that guys didn't want to play with him because he didn't play bebop. You know, and Harold, I mean, was the kind of guy who could go from a show tune, play a ragtime piece, then a waltz, and then play a Bud Powell piece and sound like Bud Powell playing it. You know.
Well, he had facilities to do a lot of stuff. But we was trying to get that Barry Harris, Tommy Flanagan feeling. He wasn't hearing it.
Right.
Now Harold had great facility, great classical, but he refused to conform. By and by, from the age when Harold was like 30 to 40, he was one of the first guys to actually to introduce jazz in the public school system. You know, he utilized that intellect, the academic intellect, and presented jazz in the schools. And he started actually telling people about Bird, Charlie Parker, and telling them about the blues and whatnot to little kids, you know. And then by and by, he adapted to the bebop culture because he was trying to teach it. You know, he was trying to teach that. So I came back. I was living in New York. I don't know how he got there. But when we went to New York, I went to New York in the 60s. And I came back here off and on. And I would hear Harold play. I said, wow, 65, he was playing. I said, Harold, you don't learn how to play. My God, how did you do it? You know, and this is like 1965, 66, you know. And then I started playing with him, doing different concerts and whatnot.
So you guys have quite a history of working together, and your collaboration resulted in this beautiful CD here.
Right, this Something for Pops. Is that the last one you recorded with him as a duo?
As a duo. Yeah, but I've recorded so many records with he's on the Forever Duke. He's on the early Tribe stuff that was recorded in the 70s. I'm on his albums. He's on my albums. I guess we recorded on about at least 6 or 7 different projects.
Right. Jim and I were both listening to this album, and the song that we both were struck by was the Armstrong Park piece.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really an interesting tune. You talk about being eclectic. Obviously, you are too. It almost sounds like it could be a children's song in certain points. If you take away the complex stuff happening in the piano.
In the piano, yeah.
The melody line in the beginning is very simple and beautiful. And then it goes into that kind of avant-garde thing, which is almost shocking.
Yeah.
But it works. It's great.
But you know what? That was I was commissioned to do a suite called Something for Pops. It was I was commissioned by I think it was Art Serve at the time, and I did 6 tunes dedicated to the culture of New Orleans, which is like the whole terrain of New Orleans. My father's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I was reflecting on his history. So I did the tune called Rampart Street, which is a street down in New Orleans, right across the street from Armstrong's Park. And that was a great experience. I went down there and performed one time. Did a festival down there. The
Jazz and Heritage Festival?
Yeah, Jazz and Heritage Festival. And I got a chance to go into it's a radio station inside the park, and it was actually a concert venue inside the park also. Library, and big statue of Louis Armstrong, right in front of the park there. But the thing is, in terms of the deal with Armstrong, he played on Rampart Street and Pearl Avenue every Saturday morning. Well, I would say Sunday morning, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They would do jam sessions on that intersection there between Rampart Street and Pearl Avenue. So I tried to do something to reflect that particular street.
Oh, I see.
And tell a story. And then Harold, we was always doing these different duets and whatnot. So I said, well, Harold, we're going to do this record. And we're going to say it's dedicated for Something for Pops. But in Detroit, Harold is the papa.
Right.
He's the papa in Detroit, So it's kind of like a parallel situation.
The way you guys play together is incredible. You play off each other so well. It's like any little nuance is going to be heard, and you know, when listening to it, I kind of it made me think that perhaps some of the parts were actually written out for the accompanist parts. They were so perfect.
Harold, he just took something out of his head. See, he had such a heck of a background, classical background. He had so much to draw from. And he'd play some stuff, and I just pick up right after and take off on his different voicings and different ideas and whatnot. You don't have a lot of piano players that can do that nowadays. There's one guy that we recording nowadays with is for the Tribe reunion. He's called. His name is Calvin Scholler.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
He can play just like Harold.
Really.
Sounds just like Harold.
One of the more intriguing tune titles you've come up with is Russian Hustle. So it's sort of like Russian Hustle or Rush and Hustle, which in fact is what it is and how it's spelled. And you've got this really intriguing group here with yourself, James Carter, Ernie Rogers, veteran Detroit musician, Greg Koltik, Paul Onachuk, and Ken Hobbenstreet, all on clarinets. How did that come about?
Well, that whole clarinet ensemble came about. I was trying to play clarinet.
The instruments you didn't like?
Yeah, I was going, because I had played saxophone for 25 years. And all of a sudden, I had to play a job with Lou Rawls. They had a clarinet part. And I had a big ego at the time. I didn't play it, So I got on the stage, and I had one of these clarinets in the attic that wasn't really working that good, and I bombed profusely. I mean, in other words, like I was squeaking and squabbling, and the other musicians was turning to me and saying, "Man, you got to get it together."
Oh.
This is on the stage, so I was really embarrassed. And I was so mad. I started hollering. Really, I was aggravated at the baritone bass clarinet player that was sitting right beside me. He was telling the truth, but my ego was so big.
Couldn't take it.
I couldn't take it, man. So anyway, started practicing. And then I started doing little duets with Harold. I said, Harold, we started doing duets at the U of D. Every time they would call us, to do a presentation. They think I'm gonna bring the saxophone. Yeah, I brought the saxophone, but I played more clarinet because I was trying to really perfect that instrument again. Because I thought it wasn't like when I was a kid. I was really flexible on it, you know. So 25 years had went by, you know. I'm just picking it up again, and then I started playing the clarinet. And then we opened up Charlie Mingus. We got another gig. Opened up Charlie Mingus up in Lansing. There, it was a jazz showcase in Lansing, and Harold and myself played duet, just clarinet and duet up there. And by and by, I developed, but it was something missing. I was playing clarinet, but it wasn't really. Something was missing with my clarinet sound. I wasn't really getting the clarinet sound. I was playing the clarinet, but not really getting. So I developed a clarinet ensemble that I wrote for, with the best clarinet players in the area. And I called it Mama's Licking Stick, because it was my mother's way of giving me discipline. You know, and so these are the greatest clarinet players in the area. Paul Undercheck, Greg Kotek. Oh, they play shows at the Fisher.
Sure.
You know, all these. Most of them came out of Wayne State's band. You know, graduated from Wayne State. You know, they played. Some of them played with the symphony, and so I surrounded myself with these guys, and I wrote music for them. I said, "Play this music. See how this." And I would listen to them, and by, I got their sound. I was able to get a legitimate clarinet sound. You know, Russian Hustle was commissioned by Art Serve 2, if I'm not mistaken, which is a Michigan nonprofit organization that deals with the preservation of artists and jazz and whatnot. And I wrote 6 tunes. Russian. It was supposed to be in a Christmas holiday. Russian Hustle was a tune that every time I would go to the mall during the Christmas holiday, everybody's rushing and hustling, trying to get some buy some toys and stuff.
On this really intriguing duet record with Juma Santos, tenor saxophone and percussion. Now, Juma Santos, of course, was on
Miles Davis's Bridges boot.
Right, and he was also he recorded with Coltrane too, I believe. On was it Ascension or Om?
I'm not sure.
One or the other.
I'm not sure, but he's been around a long time.
Actually, Joe Brazil is on one of Coltrane's records too.
Yeah, I can believe that.
What? But did your association with Sun Ra has always intrigued me, because so many of the things that you went on to do, Sun Ra, it seems, was doing them. Like Sun Ra had his own record label.
Yeah.
Sun Ra published his own music. Sun Ra organized his own concerts, and I mean, he played everything from Fletcher Henderson material to, We Travel the Spaceways. I mean, the man was totally eclectic. He was a visionary. He was all over the musical map. Mm-hmm. And it struck me that this duet might have been something that in some way Ra influenced, or did he influence you in general?
Yeah,
was there...
well, mainly business-wise. You hit it on the head. When I joined Ra's band, it's another thing about appreciating music 10 years after you play it, because I didn't really appreciate what it was at the time. But because I joined Ra's band, I was playing with Ra, Grant Green, and Hank Crawford at the same time, different gigs. You know what I mean?
How did you come to join Ra's band?
I was just working. Kiani again.
Oh, Kiani was in the band.
He was in the band. He brought me in.
Oh, okay.
He's a kid from Detroit. Give him a break.
Now I remember seeing Sun Ra in action one year when he played here in Detroit for a series of concerts over a week, and he was teaching a new musician how to play his music, and the way he was doing that was he was sitting them down at the piano and playing everything out for him. He did it totally by ear. He did not, he was not showing them any written music or anything. And he just spent hours and hours. And I mean, I remember just sitting there listening, fascinated at the man's working method of doing that. Did he do something like that?
Yeah, he would stand on 3rd Street, and he would come over. He would invite us over, and he would cook us dinner, greens and pinto beans and stuff like that. He liked to cook. That would get us that. That means we could relax, because we was kids and we'd be hungry all the time. So we could focus. While he's cooking, he's talking to us, and saying, "Wendell, we don't want you to play any solos. We just want you to play the music. Let Gilmore play." Because I was in the bebop. I didn't have. I was born out of bebop at that time, and every time I would play, he'd shut me down. No, forget about the changes. We're not playing changes. Give me feeling. Play and imagery. We're dealing with imagery. Play Godzilla's falling off the building or something. Play that girl that's down in the beach that you've been checking out. What kind of feeling can you give me when you see that lady crossing the street? Translate that feeling into sound.
Wendell, we'd like to thank you so much for coming to our table here at Detroit Jazz Stage.
It's an honor for me to be here, talking about this great music.
Well, your music's absolutely incredible, and we're glad to be able to help bring it to a wider audience.
Yeah, which is really needed, really needed. And thank you, Jim.
Hey, Wendell, always a pleasure to talk with you, man.
Yeah.
Your website, Wendell, it's Wenha Jazz.
Wenha Jazz at swiftsite.com.
Okay, we'll have that. We'll have a link to the.
We'll link it on the website.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rodney Reeves from JazzStage Productions. If you enjoy listening to Detroit Jazz Stage, we encourage you to leave your comments on iTunes. Doing so will help promote our show and keep us bringing quality shows to your iPod.
Detroit Jazz Stage is produced at Longview Sound in Metro Detroit for JazzStage Productions. Dean Sahutsky, executive producer. Mark Byerly is our sound engineer. I'm Jim Gallert.
And I'm Rodney Reeves.